Hey YouTube, we're back again this week for another video portion of the Daly Dose Sports Podcast. Hope everyone out there is doing well. Hope you're all staying healthy in this weird time. Hopefully things are starting to improve wherever it is that you are at. This week on the Daly Dose video, we are actually touching on a few interesting sports news stories that have come out over the past week. Got a couple of stories you may not have heard, so let's go ahead and jump into that right now. And let's start off in the NFL, where rapper Dr. Dre has announced he's going to be headlining the Pepsi halftime show during Super Bowl 56 at SoFi Stadium out in the LA kind of area. The six-time Grammy Award winner is going to be joined by fellow rappers Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, as well as R&B artist Mary J. Blige. I didn't even know Mary J. was still around, but it's a star-studded lineup of both old and new. That group actually has 43 collective Grammy Awards and 19 #1 Billboard albums. It also kind of is playing out on that theme of showcasing music in a city like Los Angeles that is kind of synonymous with like rap and hip-hop music. We saw the same thing during Super Bowl 54 when Shakira and Jennifer Lopez performed down in Miami. So I think they're kind of trying to keep that same sort of theme going here. Now, I know there are a lot of middle-aged white people probably wearing Oakleys today, and they're saying, you know, the NFL just lost another fan with that lineup. I'm not going to be watching it at all. And they might be mad at the NFL, and they might have a number of reasons for being mad about this particular lineup. But here's the question that I have for any sports fans that are not happy about this lineup for the Super Bowl halftime show. Do you really watch any Super Bowl halftime shows? And if so, can I ask why? Let's be real clear. These dumb halftime shows are for the non-sports fans. You know, the ones that leave the room where the TV is at during the Super Bowl game itself, but then they come running back in for the commercials? I don't want to hang out with those people anyways. If I'm being honest, I won't watch this. I won't. But to be fair, I haven't watched a Super Bowl halftime show since like New Kids on the Block came out singing songs with Disney characters. Or like Michael Jackson came out singing with little kids. I mean, I knew then this scene is not for me. This isn't working for me. I'm not interested in this. If you are looking at this halftime show like, finally, this is really going to be a good halftime show, I have some doubts about your life choices. And on the other side, if you're looking at this halftime show and you're saying, that's it, I'm not even going to watch the Super Bowl this year because of that stupid halftime show, again, you might need to rethink some things. Once again, this halftime show is nothing more than a chance for you to go get some more hot wings and maybe grab another beer. Also, I am going to be really interested to watch the third quarter of the Super Bowl this year, because you know how after these monster halftime show concerts that they do, they have that cloud from the concert pyro, and it's just kind of hanging over the stadium for the first 5 or 10 minutes of the third quarter. That cloud this year, it's going to be a little bit different this time. I'm just saying this. When we see maybe Tom Brady eating Funyuns on the bench, don't be surprised. I'm not going to be shocked by that one single bit. I'm going to switch over, and I'm going to talk about a sport that honestly I don't talk about all that much, but I'm going to talk about some women's soccer. I know. We don't talk a whole lot of women's soccer. But I've got a story here that's a little bit odd that I think we need to touch on. Because the National Women's Soccer League announced that matches scheduled for this past weekend actually didn't get played. And the league's commissioner has since resigned. This follows reports of alleged abuse of players and claims the league failed to address sexual coercion by a male coach in the league. League Commissioner Lisa Baird's resignation last Friday, that is following the firing of 2 National Women's Soccer League coaches in the span of like a week, after both faced abuse allegations. Former Washington Spirit coach Richie Burke, he was fired last Tuesday following a league investigation into allegations of both verbal and emotional abuse. Then on Thursday, North Carolina Courage coach Paul Riley, is that the real name of that team? The North Carolina Courage? Goodness, we're running out of names or mascots or something. Anyways, their coach Paul Riley was fired following a distressing account of numerous allegations of sexual coercion. FIFA and the U.S. Soccer Federation announced they were opening an investigation into Riley's abuse and what he was doing last week. So now, they say that 4 NWSL teams have seen their male coaches leave after allegations of misconduct this summer. What in the world is going on in women's soccer? I swear, I had no idea that it was such a hotbed for inappropriate behavior. And here's the question I guess I have to ask. Is it because no one watches it? So they think like no one will ever find out. Like if you want to do something, you can do it in like a closet of like an abandoned building somewhere, or you can just do it in the National Women's Soccer League because trust me, no one's going to see it there. What in the world is going on here? It's weird, is what I'm saying. In a related story, it has been announced that Bill Cosby has applied for the Washington Spirit job. Is that true? That is not true. That can't be true. Bill Cosby has enough to worry about. I don't think Bill Cosby is going to be coaching women's soccer. Is he? Man, I hope not. That'd be a really, really bad look for that league. You know, it's tough today because it is National Coaches Day today, and now we're talking about some really, really bad coaches. Unfortunately, we're going to continue down that path because we have a few other coaches that might be a poor example of coaching. We talked earlier in the show about some good examples. Right now, let's jump into another poor example. We had the National Women's Soccer League, and now we have another coach that apparently is on the bad side because 5 former Florida women's basketball players have alleged abuse by their former head coach, Cameron Neubauer. He has since resigned. The players claim that Neubauer was verbally abusive during practices and that the abuse escalated to sometimes even throwing balls at players and disregarding injuries at certain points. Former player Sidney Morang had this to say. For him, I felt you're only useful to me on the court. I don't really care anything about you or how I treat you other than that. Well, I mean, I guess she didn't really enjoy being coached by him. Of course, Florida Athletic Director Scott Strickland said that Neubauer's program did not reflect the values of the university. You know, just once, I'd kind of like to see an athletic director be like, you know, this type of behavior totally does reflect the values of the university. If you're being a big baby, we might throw a ball at your head. That's not abuse. That's life. Suck it up, Buttercup, because life is difficult and it is our job to get you ready for it. I'd like to hear an athletic director say that. I don't think they've ever said that before. They always say, hey, just to be sure, here at this university, we're not for throwing balls at players. We want to make that crystal clear, like we were wondering. So at that university, they just throw things at you? Is that just how, like, does the professor throw a basketball at you if you're not paying attention? Thanks for clearing that up, athletic director at Florida. Neubauer was actually 46-71 as the coach of the Lady Gators. He finished without a single winning season. And now Kelly Ray Finley has been named the team's interim coach and will serve that role for the upcoming season. And then the Gators will be looking for a permanent replacement. But let's be real clear about one other point. If Neubauer, instead of being 46-71, was 71-46, the university would be having like a sternly worded talk with him. They wouldn't be firing him. Here's the dirty little secret. You can be as big of a jerk as you want to, but you'd better win games. Neubauer got fired here, not for throwing a basketball at a kid, not for not connecting with a kid, not for verbal abuse. He got fired for not winning. And that is the ultimate test as far as if a coach is going to keep their job, isn't it? Finally, we are going to go back to the NFL, sort of, because we did have some disturbing news coming out once again in the coaching world this past week, and you can see kind of a trend we have going here. A lot of things for National Coaches Day. But Jacksonville Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer was trending on social media over the weekend because apparently a man looking very much like Meyer had a video taken of him in a bar with a long-legged blonde grinding on him in Cincinnati. Well, we saw photos of Meyer at the bar. His fit looked the same as the guys in the video. Meyer's wife, Shelly, actually posted something on Twitter that her husband was out on the town with the boys. I mean, all of these things point to that being Meyer being the alleged person in the video, right? And he has even now come forward and apologized for his behavior. He said he doesn't want to be a distraction to his own team. Yeah, Herbs, I'd be way more worried about Mrs. Meyer than I would be worried about what my football team thinks of me right now. Because here's the thing. She's the one that might murder you in your sleep. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. Honestly, none of this is any of our business. This is not between Urban Meyer and Jaguar fans, or Urban Meyer and NFL fans, or Urban Meyer and college football fans. It's not between any of them. It's not even between him and his football team. This is between Urban Meyer and his family. I don't try to get into guys' personal lives too much. Who knows what pros are doing on their own time? Who knows what the guy down at the corporate business office is doing on his own time? He might be doing something horrible too. I don't care to know about that. I don't want to know about their personal lives too much. So Meyer was letting some long-haired blonde grind on his lap in a bar. Here's the thing to remember. What he and his quarterback Trevor Lawrence do together on their own time, that's their business. Okay, YouTube, be sure that you go over and check out the rest of the podcast this week, because this week on The Dose, we are actually going to be joined by our resident MLB expert, Young Jimmy, to discuss the start of the Major League Baseball playoffs. They should be very interesting. Plus, we're going to be talking a little bit about college football. Might have to get his pick for who the top 4 teams are in the country right now. Might have to talk a little bit about the NFL. So be sure that you go over and check out the rest of the podcast. I will leave a link here on YouTube in the comments for you. Hope y'all are doing well. I will see y'all next Wednesday. Have a great week.